The siblings who brought me home are actually cannon fodder in a book. The older brother is gloomy and cold, attracted to the sunny and warm female lead. The younger sister is sensitive and starved for love, willing to sacrifice everything for the male lead. They thought they had found their salvation. Little did they know, the male and female leads were just using them as stepping stones. To preserve my wealthy lifestyle, I decided to steal the main characters' jobs. When my brother was feeling cynical about the world again, I kissed his cheek. Huh. Soft and sweet, brother. You're a little cream cupcake. Even the coldest man would crack a smile at such a compliment. When my sister was secretly crying in the middle of the night, I started wailing right along with her. The pretty stars are about to drown. What do we do? She broke into a smile through her tears and helplessly pulled me into her arms. Later, the main characters, unable to get a hold of them, got anxious and showed up at our door uninvited, only to find the siblings staying up all night, helping me rush to finish my kindergarten craft project. The moment I lost consciousness trying to save a drowning kid, I made a wish. My next life, I wanted to wake up smelling expensive perfume, hearing the hearty laugh of an old money father, and feeling the reassuring pat of a CEO grandfather. I opened my eyes. I was lying peacefully in a dumpster. Wow. So much for good karma. Why did I get this absolute dumpster fire of a start? Literally. The lid was closed. Stench of rotting garbage was suffocating. I looked at my tiny baby hands and fell into a deep silence. There was no other choice. To survive, I had to do the one thing babies do best. I didn't know how long I wailed, but eventually someone noticed the noise in this rundown alley. The click-clack of expensive leather shoes approached. Talk about a moment of salvation. The lid opened and I was staring at a middle-aged man, in a sharp suit and white gloves. A butler. My dear Alfred is here to save me. I knew it. I must be the long-lost heiress swapped by an evil nanny. I reached out to him desperately. Take me to the 10,000 square foot mansion with the pool. Hurry. Don't let mommy and daddy worry. Minutes later, I was in the back of a black limousine. I found myself in a staring contest with two high school students, who looked like they walked straight out of a Vogue cover shoot. The butler looked torn. Master Asher. Miss Ivy, we're near the slums and the community college. This child is likely abandoned. Should we take her to the police station? Me? We're doomed. The two teenagers whose features were too perfect for reality nodded coldly. The butler smiled relieved. Then I'll have to trouble you too, to watch her. For a moment, I was shoved into the boy's arms. He held me stiffly, looking like I was a bomb about to explode. I'm a sucker for good looks. Seeing a face that put Hollywood heartthrobs to shame, I couldn't help but reach out to touch it. Seeing the girl next to him smirk, his face darkened instantly. He shoved me into her arms. So annoying. You hold it. The girl froze, mimicking his stiffness. Seeing their identical god-tier faces, I couldn't help but giggle. She was caught off guard by the laugh, just as the corners of her lips twitched up. I saw the boy watching her with amusement. She immediately pouted. Smells like trash. Disgusting. She dumped me on the leather seat between them. The car was wide enough for the three of us, but the thought of being sent to an orphanage made me genuinely sad. I started bawling my eyes out. The boy, Asher, couldn't stand the noise and picked me up. Seeing his face, I felt happy again and stopped crying, giggling through my tears. He put me down. I cried. The girl, Ivy, picked me up. I laughed. She put me down. I cried. Suddenly, they found this entertaining. It became a game. Pick up. Put down. Pick up. Put down. Ha ha wah. Ha ha wah. After doing this loop dozens of times, the butler's gentle voice came from the front. We've arrived at the police station. I immediately let out a scream so loud it nearly blew the sunroof off. Asher and Ivy looked at each other. A few seconds later, they spoke in unison. The butler was efficient. The family lawyers worked through the night. Through the Sterling Family Trust, I was legally registered as their ward and sister. I also learned who these two were. The Sterling family twins, the heirs to the biggest empire in New York. And now I was their baby sister, Lily Sterling. Don't get jealous yet, because these two are the biggest cannon fodder characters. In a childhood sweethearts to lovers novel, the siblings had money and looks, but they didn't have a home. Their parents divorced right after they were born, and went back to their respective lovers. To them, Asher and Ivy were just business mergers gone wrong. No one cared about them. Kids who grow up without love don't turn into saints. Asher and Ivy were twisted and difficult. Despite being twins, they were constantly at each other's throats. Even worse, they were targeted by the main characters, a guy and a girl who were basically villains disguised as protagonists. The main characters, Jax and Chloe, manufactured opportunities to get close to the twins and drive a wedge between them. Asher, gloomy and cold, would be attracted to the sunny and warm Chloe. Ivy, sensitive and love-starved, sacrifice everything for Jax. They thought they found salvation. In reality, they were just stepping stones. Once their value is drained, they'd be kicked to the curb. Readers called this morally gray and exciting. Exciting. I wasn't excited. Even the imported formula the nanny made didn't taste good anymore. Babies are simple. When we're unhappy, we cry. My wailing brought Asher and Ivy running. The nanny was sweating. I don't know what's wrong with Miss Lily. She won't stop crying. Asher took me and I instantly stopped. Everyone stared. The nanny chuckled. Master Asher, she's very attached to you. The corner of his mouth lifted for a second before he forced it down. So troublesome. Cry again and back to the dumpster. You go me. Rude. I immediately reached out for Ivy. She looked surprised, but carefully extended her arms. Asher turned on his heel and walked away with me. She's tired. You can hold her next time. Ivy gritted her teeth. She clearly wanted me give her here. You're clumsy. What if you drop her, Asher? Listening to their bickering, I sleepily closed my eyes and clenched my tiny fist. My brother and sister are good kids. I won't let those toxic protagonists come anywhere near them. The only perk of being a baby is that you can be a brat. If I didn't see Asher or Ivy for a few hours, I cried. The nanny, now trained, would check the clock and call them during their lunch break. How is Lily today? Hearing Ivy's voice, I babbled and grabbed at the phone. Say sissy.ga. A light laugh came from the other end. And then the phone was snatched by Asher. He started grilling the nanny about my vaccination schedule, how many ounces of milk I drank, and if my poop was normal. He reminded her to give me a massage. He had evolved into a professional dad, bro. When they got home, Asher fed me and changed diapers. Ivy played with rattles and tried to teach me to talk, although they argued over who got to hold me. The empty mansion was starting to feel like a home. One day they didn't come home on time. The butler told me gently. Brother and sister went to the old estate for their birthday. They'll be back late. In the original book, their parents were supposed to come back to celebrate with them. The twins pretended not to care, but they were secretly hopeful. They waited for hours. When they called, they realized their parents had forgotten. No apology, just a wire transfer of cash. Did they need money? No, they needed love. That's why they fell for the crumbs of affection the main characters threw at them. Sure enough, when they returned, one looked gloomy, the other depressed. They went straight to their rooms without even checking on me. I sighed. Time for the ultimate weapon. Wah, a door slammed. Asher stormed in, looking grumpy to check my diaper. You're clean. Why are you crying? I just kept wailing. He couldn't soothe me. Helpless, he called Ivy. Her eyes were red. She was already upset. And seeing me cry made her snap. She put me in the cradle, roughly go to sleep. I reached up and batted at the wind chimes above my head, struggling to make sounds. Hoppy, hoppy, hoppy. My baby babble mixed with the chime sounded vaguely like a song. Happy birthday. They froze. After a long silence, Asher covered his face and laughed. Ivy, infected by him, turned her head and huffed. A smile broke through. I relaxed. Just as I was about to sleep, Asher pulled out his phone. Do it again. I don't want you growing up and claiming. We never recorded you for social media. Me just say you want to flex on Instagram. Soon, Asher and Ivy were juniors in high school. We had successfully avoided the plot points, where they met the main characters. Just as I let my guard down, Asher went missing. The butler sent people to search for 24 hours. The next day, he returned covered in bruises and scratches. Behind him trailed a girl in a white dress looking equally disheveled. She looked innocent, but when she scanned the luxury villa, her eyes gleamed with calculation. Alert. The inheritance is in danger. After the family doctor patched them up, Asher explained he went hiking on a whim and bumped into Chloe, the female lead. They fell down a steep slope, broke their phones, and were stuck overnight. Me? Yeah, right. I bet Chloe planned the whole thing. When Chloe came out, I saw Asher playing with me. She feigned surprise. Is that your sister? She's so cute. Asher always loved hearing people praise me. He looked at Chloe with a rare warmth. Do you want to hold her? Sure. Don't you dare come closer. When she reached out, I let out a scream that could shatter glass. Was my most ear-piercing performance yet. Asher froze and looked at the awkward Chloe. Sorry, she's a bit shy with strangers. Chloe quickly adjusted her expression, acting understanding and praising my high alertness. Her words stroked Asher's ego. He looked at her even more softly and told the butler to drive her home personally, as expected of the main character. A little trick and she's already hooked the brother. I closed my eyes, exhausted. Ivy came home that evening, constantly checking her phone with a giddy look. The smile on her face was a dead giveaway. She must have met Jax too. The plot was accelerating. I needed to act fast. Ivy floated into the nursery, her eyes dreamy. Lily, guess what? I met someone today. He's so different from everyone else. He actually listened to me. He understands how hard it is to grow up without parents. He said he's in the same boat. Me? Yeah, right. Jax's parents are alive and well. He just pretends to be an orphan to gain sympathy. Ivy continued, her voice filled with admiration. He's going to transfer to our school next week. I can't wait for you to meet him. He has the most beautiful eyes. They're like the ocean. I wanted to gag. Jax's eyes were like the ocean, all right. A toxic, polluted ocean. Ivy picked me up and spun me around. I'm so happy, Lily. For the first time in my life, I feel like someone really sees me. Her happiness made my heart ache. She deserved real love, not this calculated manipulation. I buried my face in her shoulder, hiding my expression. The next few weeks were a nightmare. Chloe started showing up at our house constantly. She brought homemade cookies, helped Ivy with homework, and even offered to babysit me. Every time she tried to hold me, I screamed my head off. Chloe would laugh it off, telling Asher how cute I was. Asher would smile at her, completely oblivious to her schemes. Meanwhile, Jax was charming Ivy with his tragic backstory. He told her stories about his abusive father, his alcoholic mother, his lonely childhood. Ivy ate it up. She started spending all her free time with him. She even changed her wardrobe to match his style. The twins were drifting apart. Asher spent his time with Chloe. Ivy spent her time with Jax. They barely spoke to each other anymore. The mansion felt empty again. I was the only one who noticed. I tried to intervene. When Asher was with Chloe, I would cry until he had to come home. When Ivy was with Jax, I would throw tantrums until she had to leave. But it wasn't enough. The main characters were too good at what they did. They knew exactly how to manipulate my siblings. I needed a new strategy. One night, I overheard Chloe talking to someone on the phone. Don't worry. Everything is going according to plan. Asher is completely wrapped around my finger. He's going to sign over the trust fund next week. And Ivy? She's even easier. She's already talking about running away with Jax. The twins will be out of the picture in no time. Then we can take over the Sterling Empire. I froze. They weren't just using my siblings. They were planning to destroy them. I had to do something drastic. The next day, I pretended to be sick. I cried and refused to eat. The nanny called Asher and Ivy in a panic. They both rushed home from school. Chloe and Jax came with them. I lay in my crib, looking pale and weak. The doctor checked me over. It's just a mild fever, but she needs rest and plenty of fluids. Ivy's eyes filled with tears. Oh, my poor baby. She reached out to touch my forehead. Jax stepped forward too. Let me see her. Ivy smiled at him gratefully. Thank you for coming, Jax. I wanted to scream. He was invading my home, manipulating my sister. And now he wanted to touch me? I summoned all my strength. I let out a blood-curdling scream. Jax jumped back. What's wrong with her? Ivy tried to soothe me. It's okay, Lily. This is Jax. He's my friend. I screamed louder. I reached out for Asher, my tiny hands grasping at the air. Asher immediately picked me up. I stopped crying instantly, but I kept my eyes fixed on Jax. I glared at him with all the hatred I could muster. Jax looked uncomfortable. I think she doesn't like me. Chloe laughed nervously. Babies can be unpredictable. I turned my glare to her. She flinched. Maybe we should go. Let the family rest. Jax agreed. Yes, we don't want to intrude. They left. But not before Jax whispered something to Ivy. I'll call you tonight. Ivy nodded, her face glowing. After they were gone, Asher sat on the edge of my bed, stroking my hair. What's wrong, little one? You've been so cranky lately. Ivy sat on the other side. I think she's just lonely. We haven't been spending enough time with her. They looked at each other. And for the first time in weeks, they really saw each other. Asher noticed the dark circles under Ivy's eyes. Ivy noticed the tension in Asher's shoulders. We've been so caught up in our own lives, Asher said softly. We forgot about the most important thing. Ivy nodded. Each other. And Lily. Asher smiled. Let's make a pact. From now on, family comes first. No matter what. Ivy smiled back. Deal. They hugged. And I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe it wasn't too late. But the main characters weren't giving up. The next day, Jax asked Ivy to the winter formal. Of course she said yes. Chloe asked Asher to the same dance. He agreed too. The twins spent the entire week getting ready. They bought expensive outfits, got their hair done, practiced their dance moves. I watched them with a heavy heart. They were walking right into the trap. The night of the dance, the twins looked stunning. Ivy wore a flowing blue gown that matched her eyes. Asher wore a sharp black tuxedo that showed off his tall frame. They looked like a prince and princess from a fairy tale. Chloe and Jax picked them up in a limousine. I watched from the window as they drove away. I knew what was going to happen. At the dance, Jax and Chloe would abandon the twins. They would leave them alone and humiliated. Then they would swoop in as the heroes, comforting the twins and gaining their trust. It was a classic manipulation tactic. I had to stop it. I waited until the limousine was out of sight. Then I put my plan into action. I crawled to the smart home console in the hallway. I had watched the butler use it countless times. I reached up and smashed my tiny hand against the emergency button, the one with the police symbol. A voice immediately came through. Emergency services. What is your situation? I screamed into the console. Wah, wah, wah. I kept screaming until I heard sirens. Minutes later, police cars arrived at the mansion. The butler answered the door. Confused. Is everything all right, officers? We received an emergency call from this residence. A baby screaming. The butler's eyes widened. Oh no. Miss Lily. He rushed to the hallway, followed by the police. They found me sitting on the floor, the emergency button still flashing red. I looked up at them with wide eyes, then burst into tears. The butler picked me up. I'm so sorry, officers. I was in the wine cellar checking inventory. She must have crawled out of her crib. The police officer nodded. It happens. But we need to contact her guardians. The butler hesitated. They're at the winter formal at school. The officer frowned. We'll have to go get them. This is serious. A baby can't be left unattended. They called the school. Within minutes, the announcement came over the PA system. Asher and Ivy Sterling, please report to the main office immediately. Your sister needs you. The twins were in the middle of a slow dance with their dates. They froze. Lily? They didn't even say goodbye to Chloe and Jax. They ran out of the gym, leaving their dates standing there alone. Chloe and Jax were furious. Their plan was ruined. The twins rushed home in a police car. When they saw me, they both started crying. Ivy picked me up and held me tight. I'm so sorry, Lily. I'll never leave you again. Asher hugged us both. We should have known better. Family comes first. The police officer nodded. It's good that you care so much, but you need to be more careful. A baby can't be left alone. The twins promised it would never happen again. After the police left, Asher and Ivy sat on the couch, holding me between them. They were quiet for a long time. Finally, Ivy spoke. I think we've been making mistakes. Asher nodded. We've been letting people come between us. Ivy looked at her phone. Jax has been calling me nonstop. He's probably wondering why I left. Asher looked at his phone too. Chloe sent me a dozen texts. She's angry. They looked at each other. Do you think they're using us? Ivy asked softly. Asher hesitated. I don't know, but I know one thing. He looked down at me. Lily hates them. Every time they try to touch her, she screams. Ivy nodded. And she's usually so good with strangers. Asher's expression hardened. Maybe we should listen to her. Ivy smiled. Maybe we should. The next day, Chloe and Jax showed up at our house. They were furious. Why did you leave last night? Chloe demanded. We were in the middle of a dance. Jax added. Ivy looked at them coldly. Our sister needed us. That's more important than a dance. Chloe rolled her eyes. She's just a baby. She can wait. Ivy stood up. Get out. Chloe and Jax were shocked. What? Ivy's voice was firm. I said get out. And don't come back. Asher stood up beside her. You heard my sister. Leave. Chloe and Jax looked at each other. Then at the twins. They realized they had lost control. Fine, Jax said coldly. We don't need you anyway. Chloe nodded. We'll find someone else. They stormed out, slamming the door behind them. The twins looked at each other. Then at me. I smiled. My first real smile in weeks. They laughed, hugging me tight. We did it. Ivy said. We saved ourselves. Asher nodded. And we have Lily to thank. The next few months were peaceful. The twins focused on school and on me. They spent every evening together, helping me with my homework, playing games, just being a family. The mansion felt like a home again. I grew up happy and loved. Asher and Ivy graduated at the top of their class. They went to college together, studying business and law. They were determined to protect the Sterling Empire. I started kindergarten, then elementary school. I was smart for my age, probably because I remembered my past life. I made friends easily, but my best friends were always Asher and Ivy. Years passed. Chloe and Jax tried to come back a few times, but the twins refused to see them. They had learned their lesson. They knew who really loved them. The three of us became our own family. No biological parents needed. We had each other. We had the butler who had been with us since the beginning. We had a home filled with love. I watched them all together. My heart full. I had done it. I had saved my siblings. I had given them the happy ending they deserved. One day, Asher pulled me aside. Lily, he said, I know you're different. I blinked. What do you mean? He smiled. I've always known. You're not like other kids. You're smarter, wiser. You saved us. I didn't know what to say. I was silent. Asher continued. I don't know how you knew what was going to happen, but I'm glad you did. You're the best thing that ever happened to us. He hugged me tight. Thank you, Lily. I hugged him back, tears in my eyes. I love you, Asher. I love you too, little sister. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about my life. I had been reborn into a dumpster. I had been adopted by two broken teenagers. I had fought against fate itself. And I had won. I closed my eyes, feeling grateful. I had a family. I had a home. I had love. What more could I ask for? As I drifted off to sleep, I made one last wish. May every broken soul find their way home. May every lonely heart find love. May every lost child find family. And may I always remember that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of pancakes. I ran downstairs, where Asher and Ivy were making breakfast. The butler was there too, laughing and talking. The sun was shining through the windows. The birds were singing outside. Everything was perfect. I sat down at the table, smiling. This was my life. This was my family. This was my happy ending. And it was better than anything I could have wished for, because I had fought for it. I had earned it. I had created it. I took a bite of pancake, savoring the sweetness. Life was good. Life was beautiful. Life was mine. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Not even a 10,000 square foot mansion with a pool. Because home isn't a place. Home is the people who love you. And I had found my home. In the most unexpected of places. In the hearts of two broken teenagers. Who became my brother and sister. Who became my family. Who became my everything. The end.